In the summer of 1906, Dr. William Clark and his wife Harriet were driving through Litchfield County, Connecticut looking for a place to build their second home. They had a busy and successful life in New York, but here they were looking for a place to build a calm home for the holidays. After crossing a bridge, to their right they saw a beautiful mountain and immediately decided to go towards the mountains. Driving through the mountains, they found it to be a very welcoming place for their home in the forest called the Dark Entry Forest. They bought 1,000 acres of land in the Dark Entry Forest, but none of the contractors they contacted were willing to build their home, so Dr. Clark decided to build the home himself. And once the home was built, the family spent all their summers and major holidays in the house. All was going well until 1918. Dr. Clark and Harriet were in the house when Dr. Clark had to go back to New York for an important case. Harriet was not happy about staying alone. Dr. Clark went to New York, but he did return in about 36 hours. Dr. Clark was shocked when he arrived at Litchfield County when he did not see his wife Harriet there to greet him. Feeling worried, he decided to head back to their home in the Dark Entry Forest. As he got to the home, he noticed that the front door was open. As he walked in, he could hear a loud, very loud maniacal laughter coming from upstairs. The cabin was 2 stories, so he went to the second story and he could hear the laughter was coming from the master bedroom. Upon entering the master bedroom, he saw his wife sitting on the corner of the room, sitting in the fetal position. Her hands were clenched into fists with her mouth open wider than was humanly possible, and he noticed that the laughter was coming out of her mouth. Her mouth was not moving, but the laughter was coming out of there. He was so scared that he immediately left and went to go get help. His wife was taken from the room, and the only thing she would talk about were these dark, shadowy creatures in the forest that would haunt her, that would walk around the tree line at the nighttime. We don't know what exactly happened to Harriet, but she certainly saw something that brought her to that condition. Some say she spent the rest of her life in a mental asylum, and some say she went back to New York with Dr. Clark, where she took her own life. Now let's rewind a bit to the time that Dr. Clark and Harriet were working through the Dark Entry Forest. They did see the remains of a village. Those would be the remains of Dudleytown. Dudleytown is famous for being cursed. It all started in the 1740 when Gideon Dudley and Thomas Griffey moved from England to Litchfield County, Connecticut in the Dark Entry Forest. Initially, the Tanner, Porter, Dibble, Jones, and Harrison families settled into Dudleytown, and soon the town was housing over 30 families. But by the end of the 16th century, tragedy struck the town. It all began when of the Carter family's 6 members suddenly died, and the rest were so grief-stricken that they moved to New York, where they were all massacred by Native Americans. Only 3 of the children survived, who were kidnapped and never found again. And then Hollister died in the home of a man named Tanner, who soon started to go insane. He claimed to see creatures roaming around the forest at night, and he just slowly went insane, and his daughter had taken care of him in the last of his days. Another one of his neighbors also started seeing the same creatures, and slowly but steadily more and more people started dying in the town. Some would die to diseases, and some would take their own lives, and some would start seeing creatures and just slowly lose their sanity. And the town officially ended when the Brovey family faced a tragedy. The mother died to tuberculosis, and the 2 sons just walked into the woods when they were accused of being thieves, and they were never seen again. And the house just burnt down to flames, causing the father to also walk into the woods and never be seen again. Moreover, in 1926, when Edward C. Starr published a book about the history of Cornwall, he also included some fiction and the residents of Dudleytown. At first, the book didn't get much attention, but in the early 1970s, when the book started to get some attention, the famous Connecticut couple that investigated the Amityville horror, Lorraine Warren and Ed, videotaped a Halloween special in Dudleytown, and they declared the town to be demonically possessed. Ed said that the town was controlled by something terrifying. The Dark Entry Forest and Dudleytown are now prohibited for visitors. They are private property under the Dark Entry Forest Association, which warns visitors not to go into Dudleytown. But obviously people still do go into Dudleytown, and some have reported seeing paranormal activity. Some say they have felt someone watching them, while others report seeing those mysterious dark creatures in the woods, and some feel pressure on their chest or someone slapping them. But whatever the cause of all this might be, it certainly is an interesting mystery. So if you found this story interesting, please like and subscribe to our channel and turn on the notifications, and we'll see you soon with another interesting mystery.